Yo, 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 what is going on, Patriots Nation? Right before this started, I had said I wasn't going to play the intro. I forgot to actually take it out. But maybe this was a sign that we as Patriots Nation need to stay positive and think of the big picture of what happened this season. Um, I'm here with my guy, Aiden Hauser, father of Patriots Nation. I am your full time scientist, full time sports fan, Survora. What is going on?
I'm here, man. That's about all I got.
Yeah. So, for those of you who live under a rock, um, the Patriots lost pretty handily in the Super Bowl, 29-13, to Seattle. Um, it was a game that felt uncomfortable, really, from the get go. And we normally have segments here. I think we were both thinking to just kind of discuss, just kind of talk through what happened. Um, at what point did you feel like the game got out of hand?
Honestly, I was pretty hopeful, geez, our offense has been playing horrible and we're only, what was it, 9-0 at half?
Yeah.
I really started losing hope, middle of the third, probably beginning of the fourth, when they just kind of, I think after the Barner touchdown was when I was like, shoot. But I think even then it was just 16-0. Um,
Right.
I
There was
think, I
that
can't,
one, I think it
or
was 19
22
0.
maybe.
They scored 12.
Okay.
Uh, and yeah, I think for me, there was there was a drive. Like it was when I had the realization that we were actually not capable of finding solutions on offense. Because up till now, we had been able to make adjustments at halftime and figure out solutions. Um, at least figure out something that works. In the Broncos game after that first half, we came out in the second with a drive that took a good portion of the third, and we only got three out of it, but it was our kind of proof of concept that we could drive down the field.
Hmm.
We finished that game with a feel good moment of being able to close it out on Drake's legs. Against Houston, we took a bad offensive first half, and I mean, scored a couple touchdowns in that second half. Yeah, the turnovers continued, but we did figure out solutions against LA. We figured out solutions and scored the bulk of our points in that second half. Um, and we had kind of been able to do that most of the year. Um, there was a drive, I think, mid third quarter where we got, I think we had a couple three and outs at that point in that half. Um, we got a 9-yard run from the get go, 2nd and 1, and the fact that we couldn't convert from 2nd and 1. That was my like, oh, if we can't convert from this situation, I'm not sure we're converting all game. Um, and so I think that was the moment where it felt like the offense was just not going to do it. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, we're not going to do three out, three down, but what are some positives, if any, you take from this game?
Um, I think our defense is awesome. That's a big positive. I know a lot of these guys, we signed to a couple year deals. Um, and I know a couple guys are probably going to be wanting the bag, like Gonzalez and stuff, but it's not like we kind of threw all of our money in for win now. Like we have a young team and the space to structure contracts and things. So knowing that in all likelihood we're going to be even better next year than the team that we had this year is really comforting. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as game played, I did appreciate Drake played pretty poor, I would say, but it showed that he showed that he wanted to win and he never at any point gave up, which is cool. Um, So I mean, just like his post game interview, it just showed that he like cares about the guys in the game and everything. He was pretty bummed about it. So I mean, I think this Super Bowl sucks that we lost is also like a really good learning experience for the young guys. Like, okay, now we've been there, we've lost, it sucks. Like this is how we get back, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I by the end of this game, I was like, I kind of realized that we were overmatched enough that not many schematic changes would have helped us win this game outright. I think there were things that we could have done to keep it closer and to stay in it for longer. But as we are as a team, it was not a winnable game. And it was something I've been in denial of, and I think saying it was not a winnable game is going too far, but it was going to take Seattle getting in their own way. And to their credit, they schemed up a perfect game, pretty much.
I think I think a lot of it too is just lack of experience of like Drake's never been in a situation like this. Will Campbell was like really outmatched. Like the whole line was. Like we have just a really young team. So I think a lot of that is like I don't know, a big part of it.
Yeah, it's a young team, and I guess let's start with, there three. The offense was obviously horrible for most of the game, except for some of the late pushes towards the end, and there are three causes that people seem to be unifying on. There are people that are blaming Drake, there are people that are blaming the offensive line, and there are people that are blaming Josh. So I think it's some combination of all three of them. And let's start with the offensive line piece, because for me, the biggest thing that went wrong in this game was that Seattle was able to get home with 4 rushers, meaning they almost never had to go more than 4. They could get effective blitzes going with four rushers, which is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be able to have your cake and eat it too. Get home with 4 and then also have 7 in coverage. It made the equation really, really difficult for Drake. And I don't think he handled it all that well. But if you have pressure coming your way and 7 guys on your receivers who are good, not phenomenal, it just makes the job so much more difficult. And so for me, that was the issue. Seattle found solutions on defense in ways that conventional logic dictates that you're not supposed to. We were too porous on the left side. It felt, who was it? I think Witherspoon was saying that they felt like they knew what was coming, that we had tells. That's huge problem if that's actually the case.
Yeah, man, I agree with that. Like when towards the end there, when they were just like getting us completely just demolished with 4 rushers, I'm like, this is a problem. If they're not sending the whole house and we're still getting sacked, like we can't do anything about it. Like it's over. Like just kind of get ready for next season at this point.
Yeah. And offensive line's been an issue throughout this post Brady era of Patriots football. It had been tolerable most of this year, but also I think where Seattle gets you is that they don't just get to you with power. They are creative in their schemes. They have speed. They pressure you in different ways. They'll get you with the corner blitzes. They'll vary their looks, and I think our line was just not ready for that. And then going to the second end of that axis, Drake. No quarterback is comfortable under pressure, and for a good part of this game, Drake May didn't have time to make decisions. But what that kind of does to you is that when you do have time, you're still stuck with kind of the ghosts of what happened. And I think we were all talking about Sam Darnold having his seeing ghosts game because of his past experiences with us. But it was kind of the opposite. It was Drake May seeing the ghosts. It was Drake May being affected by the pressure even when there wasn't pressure.
Yeah, and just like a lot of the throws he would normally make, he was missing, which was just completely uncharacteristic. Like, just yeah, like the plays that he would make all season when he had the time, he just couldn't make it. I think of that when we were in the end zone, that throw to Austin Hooper that he missed. That was a big one.
My
And
goodness.
then there's a throw to Booty that he threw too long, and then there was one to Douglas that he threw right into the dirt.
Right.
Which all would have been first downs and like just probably like just at least help get the drive going.
And yeah, football's a momentum game, and so this game could have played out very differently if we had just, like, for instance, that first drive where we got a couple first downs. If we had started out the game with a field goal, the cadence changes a little bit. You have a little bit more swagger. The fact that we kept 3 and outing just made it happen more often. And
Right.
yeah, so there were plays to be made. I think that was the frustrating thing. Like the easy way out is to say that the Seattle defense was so crippling that there was nothing we could do. Now, the Seattle defense was so crippling that it severely limited our options and made the equation much, much harder to solve. But there were things we could do. We just weren't doing them. And then when you combine not executing when you have opportunities with not having that many opportunities, you lose. For a lot of Drake's interceptions this season, I've been able to say that it was usually the fault of someone else. For the fourth quarter one, no.
That was bad.
It was just a way, way, way overcooked ball. I don't know where he was throwing it, but at that point, the cadence of the game was affecting him. I don't think he's making those throws if he has more rhythm. And quarterbacking is a rhythm game. Sam Darnold got into a bit of a rhythm by getting those initial plays to work for him. Drake May was never able to establish a rhythm, and it just made the latter half of the game so much more difficult. And then we look schematically, and again, this is why I think it was a 3-pronged failure. There were plays that just didn't make sense. Conservative play calling when Seattle could already see through us, running it down the middle on a 3rd and 5. Choosing Henderson
up the middle with Travion, yeah,
right. Things that made and this had been one of my issues all year, that we're treating Travion like someone he's not, while keeping the guy who can actually successfully run down the middle away. And actually, I felt like a lot of the bright spots on the offense were from Ramondre, whether it was on the running or receiving end, but we didn't give him enough. We didn't give him enough opportunities in the moments where he could have thrived. You get to 2nd and 1, don't run Henderson out there, run Ramondre out there. He's going to pick that up.
Or at least just be more creative. Like when Henderson had that 9-yard gain after like being motioned, I was like, why aren't we using him in motion more? Why aren't we using Kyle in motion more? Like, keep the defense.
Why aren't we using Kyle at
like
all?
Get these guys moving, and then give them the ball. Like that was the only motion play I remember where like we actually like moved somebody and like gave them I don't know. It was just frustrating of like Henderson needs like to be at full speed for like him to do something.
Right. And it felt like Josh saw what the defense was giving him and was being timid and being like, we need to play conservatively to avoid mistakes, but it was leading to nothing. Where really the headspace that you have to approach those things with is we need to be creative to get past this defense.
And
Conventional
it's like
football is not going to
we
work.
don't have the most talented pass catching group to be super creative, but like we have enough. We have two really explosive athletes that like we can still do something with it. With like just Kyle being so fast, and I mean we've seen his big playability and Travion's too. Like
Yeah,
I was surprised we just didn't try and use that more instead of just doing what we were doing.
exactly. They're absolute. Seattle was able to keep it tight because we kept keeping it tight. We did pretty much dink and dunk the entire game on the passing end of things. And when we have the best deep ball thrower in the league at our disposal, you know what would have gotten Drake in a good rhythm, a nice deep throw to Kyle Williams early in the game. We saw what happened when he started airing it out to Matt Collins late in the game. You have to wonder why that wasn't happening earlier. You have to wonder why we weren't using Diggs more. I think we overcorrected and over-respected the Seattle defense. We saw that they were playing really well. We saw that they were giving us innovative looks, and we took that as our signal to play as carefully as humanly possible, which just doesn't work. And so it really was an all-around offensive debacle. Things led to another. One thing led to another. Nobody's not to blame here. But at the same time, I look at that fourth quarter and I do see some bright spots. Clearly, when we do play more aggressive, the good things happen. And if we had been playing like that from the beginning, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we would have had an earlier interception, but maybe we also would have just opened things up a lot. Make Seattle respect the deep passing game a little bit. That could change everything. And so yeah, I think the narrative is pretty clear with what went wrong with this game. We played an excellent team that did enough on offense and absolutely dominated on defense. But where does this lead us to here? We're going to get more into the offseason in some of our upcoming episodes, but initial broad strokes thinking. First, I guess I'll start with this. What's your overall outlook on this team moving forward?
Like, how do I feel about it?
How do you feel about the Patriots with the season done?
I'm super excited. I think we have a really good foundation. We got our blue chip prospect at quarterback, our blue chip prospect at corner. We made really big just free agent signings, which also just gives me a lot of confidence about just the front office and like the coaching. I can't think of one free agent that we really got that I was just like, we could have done better with this. Like all of them, like played way better than I anticipated, and I guess I expected Milton and Spillane to like be awesome, and they were, but like Gibbons played super well, Chason played well, Landry was awesome. Like a lot of these guys who were kind of like castaways, like came and played a big part in our team. So I don't know. I that gives me a lot of confidence in just like, okay, we have the ability to make our team better. These guys like brought us from 4-13 to a Super Bowl the year after. Like, even if it was quote unquote an easy schedule, it's like we still made it as a 4-13 team previously.
Yeah, and we don't have control over the schedule that we're given, contrary to what people seem to think. We won the games that we were supposed to win, and there's a legitimate argument to be made that we should have been 20-0 coming into this game. You look at our 3 losses. 2 of them were in the very early phase of the season where this team was still rounding out. One of them was from being up 24-7. and we still very nearly won that game. You know, I feel like I feel like everything would have kind of evened out if all those things were true. If we had a harder schedule, but figured it out earlier, maybe we still would have been 14-3, or maybe 13-4, 12-5, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
People that think we're gonna schedule is maybe the difference from 14-3 to 12-5. Schedule is not the difference from 14-3 to not making the playoffs.
Right.
And we proved that by winning 3 playoff games. I feel confident in the fact that we have a deeply flawed team that made the Super Bowl, and we have the cap space to address those flaws. We have.
Well, I'm also
Go for
keep
it.
going.
No, we have something that we haven't had before in the post-Brady era. We have a quarterback coach combination again that people want to play for. He is successful, and he's a player's coach that you want to play for, and you've got the quarterback with both the talent and the demeanor that you want to play with. And yeah, he didn't play a great game, but he's got battle scars now and Super Bowl experience, and still 3 playoff wins under his belt.
Right. I mean, that's more than a lot of the veterans in the league, right? That's more than Josh Allen, right?
Playoff wins, probably not.
Maybe close.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And I was gonna say too, like I know the strength of schedule, or like not the actual schedule, but like the slate of teams we're playing came out, and it's gonna be a bit of a gauntlet next year, and I'm excited for that to also just like prove the haters wrong, because I think like a lot of our wins weren't necessarily close wins. Like we were destroying the teams that we should have been destroying. So I'm excited to just kind of see how we do against quote unquote hard, or just a harder schedule or whatever, just so people can actually kind of just shut up about it. So I'm excited to see like how the team handles like, okay, now we're gonna play like some good next year.
Yeah, and I felt the same thing when I saw the schedule, that they're not going to be able to say anything about our strength of schedule after this. And this is the thing, like part of the determiners of strength of schedule is how you finish in the division. We got this schedule partly because we were so bad last year, and nobody was expecting us to turn around this much. So the fact that we became a good team and then also got an easier schedule, but we still beat the Bills once. We
beat the Buccaneers.
We still beat the Bucs back when they were playing like a championship caliber team. We still beat the Panthers.
Playoff team, yeah, killed them.
Destroyed the Panthers, who almost beat the Rams, who almost beat the Seahawks, who destroyed us. So, transitive property only works to some extent. But at some point you play the teams that you're given. We scored 32 points against a really capable Browns defense. Drake May scored 3 touchdowns against an unreal Texans defense in really, really tough conditions. And sometimes just the combination of your opponent, your nerves and luck just doesn't go in your direction.
Mm-hmm.
To those who say that we won't get back here, I say maybe that's true next year, because getting back to the Super Bowl is really difficult, and I feel like the Brady dynasty and the Mahomes wannabe dynasty kind of has dulled that perception a little bit and made Super Bowl returns seem easier than they actually are. But maybe you look at the archetype of like Stafford's team that won the Super Bowl has dipped a little bit and kind of got it back to contention. You've seen teams have that kind of arc.
Mm-hmm.
But none of these teams that have been one-time Super Bowl wonders have been as young as us, have been as inexperienced as us, have been with a first-year coach, second-year quarterback, first year a lot of the staff, and then also have cap space. We're on the very ascent. Drake May is 23. Josh Allen is about to turn 30 and hasn't made a Super Bowl yet. Lamar Jackson hasn't made a Super Bowl yet. You know, Mahomes, they could retool, but Mahomes is getting older. I feel like they don't have the same capacity. They're well into their progression.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel great.
I feel great too.
And before we head out, I quick hits here. Biggest off-season priorities.
Oh, how many? Like 3?
Yeah, let's do 3.
Okay. Do you want me to give you my 3 and you're going to give your 3 or what?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we need to address the offensive line, especially with Morgan Moses getting old. I don't know if he's going to retire or not. I haven't heard anything. We need to get bigger. We need to get better. Bradbury's not the long time. He's definitely a short-term solution. We'll just say that. So somehow address that. We need to always just be improving there. We need a difference maker at receiver. We have a lot of just good pieces. Diggs played well. He's not the 1,500 yard receiver that he was in Minnesota or even Buffalo. He's kind of on the end there. We need like a new alpha to grow with May. And then I'll say we actually need like a solid edge rusher with Chason and Landry. I think they both probably got like close to like 8 or 9 sacks, but like it would be nice to have like a double-digit sack guy again, to pair along with Williams and Barmore. So those are the 3 I can really think of. I think most other places we've either already like drafted at, or sitting pretty with. That being like secondary is great and young. Our linebackers I feel like are pretty solid, and then like running backs drafted. Like I think those are the 3 positions though I would really look at.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think my 3 are the same. Offensive lines, I think the biggest need. It's, I have to think a little bit more on what that need looks like. Some of the schematic issues that happen in this game, them telling when Seattle's saying things like we had tells and we had technique issues and they were able to kind of predict what we were going for, that makes me doubt Doug Marrone a little bit. I'm not saying that's the be-all solution. I think there's a combination, but it's the first time I've doubted Doug Marrone a little bit this game, because that was the first time I saw schematic issues in the offensive line as opposed to just player issues. Something to entertain, but also he's got a battery of offensive experience, so I don't want us to be too hasty on that. It was also his first year working with the group. Some level of position realignment. Maybe Jared Wilson's better suited to be our center than Garrett Bradbury is. Maybe Will Campbell is better suited to be a guard. I think he'd have to work hard to make himself a competent tackle. I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think he'd have to work that hard to make himself a competent guard. Michael Onwenu's the only guy that I'm confident about in their current position. I'd say you see what you can get at tackle in free agency. You see what you can get at tackle in the draft. And if you're going to draft a tackle this time, you go with someone who has all the right dimensions and all that. I don't think Will Campbell's hand size in and of itself is an issue. I think the way he treats his hand size and tries to account for the hand size might be. Maybe there's some subtle changes in technique that he makes because he's not confident in his hand size. I know that, I've noticed in when watching some of the tape that he retreats a little bit too much, and waits to make contact. He doesn't quite have the as wide of a stance as he needs to, and maybe some of that stems from how he perceives his hand size. Little things like that make me wonder if he's better suited to be a guard. Do we, instead of trying to force it with a position that he can eventually get good at, choose one where he's already good? So I think somewhere between revisiting the coaching, looking at player assignments, and getting new guys, some combination of all three needs to happen. Defensively, I think we just need an edge rusher. It really feels like the only need. I feel like we're covered on secondary. I feel like we're covered on linebacker, covered on interior defensive lineman. Just need someone to complement Harold Landry, and really complete that pass rushing axis. More cornerback depth would be nice, but it's just not. It's low on the hierarchy of needs.
It'd be a luxury at this point, yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to either re-sign or replace Antonio Gibson. I think not having him, it would have been nice to have that extra dimension in the running game. I think that definitely hurt us. I do like what we have in Travion and Ramondre. You look at a guy like Kenneth Walker and his speed, but also his kind of perception. I was so impressed by him. The plays where he was just sitting and waiting for his opportunity rather than running head first. So very impressed. I think Kenneth Walker is an archetype that Travion Henderson can look at and be like, with my speed, this is what I can become. This is where I can peak. He has the capability of being a Kenneth Walker or better, but some of that, the calculation, the patience, that's an aspect that's going to come over time. And then you've got Ramondre. Agreed with receivers. I also think we need to change at tight end. These playoffs kind of jaded me a little bit when it comes to Hunter Henry. He's fine. And this is all I can say. He's fine. He's solid. He does the job. I think what we need is something more dynamic, something more explosive. I'm not saying we need Gronk. We're not just going to find a Gronk lying around the streets, but a tight end that can be a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more unpredictable because I feel like Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper are similar players with similar styles, and we don't need both of them. I would want to replace.
Njoku would be nice.
Yeah, someone like a David Njoku who can just be someone that can scare defenses a little bit and become part of a game plan. There was no intimidation factor from Hunter Henry in this game. And then, receiver. We need someone with a little bit more of an intimidation factor. Diggs is solid, but someone who can be a downfield threat, but has NFL experience and isn't on the older side.
Right.
And ideally, someone who's not dealing with legal issues. That would be nice too. We'll be here next week giving a more kind of zoomed out look at how the season went. And then after that, we're going to take a little bit of a break before we dive into off-season and draft content. It's been great recapping games with you this season, and we look forward to continuing. We'll see you next week, Pass Nation.